Kia ora, Helen Brahms coming to you live from Paraparaumu in New Zealand. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. One of the questions I got from Peter was, what is it like to drive in New Zealand? About the same as driving in the US, I guess. Although we don't have, oh jeepers, my hair again. I think I need a haircut. It's a bit sticking up here. But driving in New Zealand, let's see, you drive on the left-hand side of the, left-hand side of the road, not the right-hand side. And you will be sitting on the right-hand side of the car. But the cool part is that your feet hit the pedals in the same order. So going from left to right, you've got your clutch, your brake, and your go pedal, your gas pedal, your accelerator, whatever you want to call it. So the pedals are in the same order. It's just where the controls are that are a little different. And of course, you're driving on the opposite side of the road. You do have to watch your drive times when you are traveling in New Zealand, especially if you're used to driving on the freeways in the States. Freeways in the States, you can basically get on those, put your foot down and go, put it in cruise control, and you're off. Not so much in New Zealand. We have a lot of two-lane highways in New Zealand, which is basically a lane in each direction. You do get more lanes the closer you get to the bigger centres, the cities and that sort of stuff. But basically my rule of thumb for when I'm sending clients down to New Zealand is I don't let you drive any more than 3 to 4 hours max on New Zealand, because that driving time in New Zealand, the fatigue on your body is equivalent to doing about an 8 to 9 hour drive on the freeways back in the US. So just to give you a little idea of that's how long you'll be in the car. And your roads are a little windier, they're not as straight. There's a lot more hills that you've got to negotiate as well. So driving in New Zealand can be a challenge. In fact, in New Zealand, you actually do drive. You don't just put the car into gear and put the cruise control on and go. You actually have to drive a vehicle. Because you've got to be more aware of what's around you, especially staying awake and alert, and so that you can see what cars are going where and all that sort of stuff, because it is a little, and you've got to concentrate more because you are driving on the opposite side of the road. So you have to be more present when you're driving. As for what qualifications you need to drive in New Zealand, you can drive in New Zealand with an international driver's permit. You will need one of those. And you will also need a valid driver's license from your country of origin, which has at least 12 months validation on it. So what's it like driving in New Zealand? It's a lot of fun. I grew up here. I learned in a manual car, or a stick shift for those that don't know what a manual is, and so you actually really did have to drive, dropping down gears and all that sort of stuff to go around corners, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. I kind of way miss it. I think automatic cars make us a little lazy in driving in some regards. But it's a lot of fun to drive in New Zealand. There's beautiful scenery. There's plenty of places where you can pull over the side of the road to have a look at different scenery parts and that sort of thing. And they have lots of lookouts and rest areas and that sort of thing as well. So when you are driving in New Zealand for your vacation in a rental, take your time. A lot of people say, why do you only do 3 to 4 hours? Well, basically for the fatigue on the body, but it also gives you time to stop and look at things along the way as well, because there's lots of cool little towns around New Zealand that you might stop in some little town in some little hole in the wall cafe type place, which could actually turn out to be a gem. In fact, most of the little hole in the wall places in New Zealand are real gems. Great places to stop in for a cuppa and a snack on the road, and great places just to stop to have a break from driving. And most of them are mom and pop places which have great people behind the counters, lots of friendly faces and smiles and that sort of stuff. So take the time when you're driving around New Zealand and just enjoy it. Yes, you do have to concentrate because you are on the opposite side of the road and the opposite side of the car. But trust me, I will tell you one country that completely confused me. It threw me. We were in St. Thomas, and we got into one of their tour vehicle things, and they drive on the left-hand side of the road, but they're in American cars with all the controls and steering wheel on the left-hand side of the road. So that one totally bamboozled me the entire ride around. I mean, in the States, you're on the right-hand side of the road, driving on the left-hand side of the car. In New Zealand, you're driving on the left-hand side of the road and your steering wheel's on the right-hand side. In St. Thomas, it was left-hand side of the road with the steering wheel on the left hand. talk about being bamboozled, and there was just something just not right about that. But anyway, so driving in New Zealand, you're on the left-hand side with the vehicle, with this, all your controls on the right-hand side. Everybody else is doing the same thing as well. The easiest way to remember where am I supposed to be is if the driver's outside shoulder is in the center of the road. Okay, so think about that. Your driver's outside shoulder is in the center of the road. And if you keep your outside shoulder in the center of the road, then you will be on the correct side. Have a super fantastic sparkling day. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. And if you want to know more about driving in New Zealand, drop me a private message and I will send you a link that will give you hints and tips about driving in New Zealand and some of the qualifications you need for driving, what sort of vehicles you can drive when you're down here and that sort of thing, based on what licenses you have back at home. Okay, have a super fantastic sparkling day.